Welcome to Turkish Gossip. Today we will talk about the novel Kıskanmak, which has been adapted into a television series on Now TV. The novel tells the story of Seniha, a woman who, in a world where beauty is a privilege, becomes increasingly cruel under the weight of her envy and the stigma of ugliness. We will examine how this 1937 novel was transformed first into a film and now into a series, and why this story continues to disturb and fascinate audiences to this day. Unlike many works of that era, where women were depicted either as victims or as angels, here the heroine is shown in shadow, in filth, consumed by jealousy. This is precisely what made the novel shocking. In 2009, Kıskanmak was adapted into a film by Zeki Demirkubuz. The film remained entirely faithful to the original novel. The series, however, offers a version inspired by the book. It preserves the emotions and the central plot, but rewrites the story anew. This will not be a direct adaptation, as was the case with Aşk-ı Memnu or Yaprak Dökümü. If done correctly, it may give birth to a new classic. For those who dislike spoilers, this is the last stop. For everyone else, let us dive into the heart of the story. The beginning of the story. At the center is the family of a former pasha who lost his privileges after Turkey's transition to the Republic. In the household remain two children, the handsome son Halit and his older sister Seniha. From childhood, their lives are divided by a single line. Halit, blonde, blue-eyed, his mother's favorite. Seniha, dark, thin, and ugly. This phrase she heard from her earliest years and accepted as her fate. Halit is sent to study in Europe, where he lives a life of pleasures and indulgence. Seniha is not even allowed to finish school. The cost of travel is too high. When a wealthy man proposes to her, the family refuses. We do not want to spend on a dowry. After this, Seniha decides she will never marry. Her inner voice is the echo of her mother, constantly repeating, "You are not beautiful. No one will ever love you." And the older she becomes, the deeper her envy and hatred grow toward her brother, who has been given everything. In the series, Seniha is played by Özgü Namal. This choice is striking, for Namal is not merely attractive, she is truly beautiful. In the 2009 film adaptation, the role of Seniha was played by Nergis Öztürk, who, with the help of makeup and costumes, was deliberately made older and less attractive in order to fully convey the humiliation of the heroine. Her brother Halit, 8 years her senior, is described in the novel not simply as handsome, but as beautiful. He is the golden child of the family, blonde, blue-eyed, admired by all. His mother practically worships him, raising him to be selfish and insatiable. This maternal adoration, contrasted with her disdain for Seniha, is depicted most vividly in the scene where Halit dresses in women's clothing. Their mother, unable to restrain her admiration, embraces and kisses him. "Ah, my beautiful son, if only poor Seniha resembled you even a little." Hearing this, Seniha flees to her room and weeps hysterically for 3 hours. From that day forward, she never again approached her mother. When her mother kissed her during holidays, Seniha thought, "She does it with disgust. These kisses are false." It was then she realized her mother never truly loved her. After finishing his studies in Europe, Halit returns home and becomes a mining engineer. With the death of their parents, he remains living with his sister. His life is a whirlwind of pleasures, cabarets, women, festivities. But by the age of 40, he decides it is time to settle down and marry. His choice is the young beauty Mükerrem, barely 20 years old. In the novel, Mükerrem had scarcely any experience with men before marriage. For her, marrying Halit promises stability and a new life, but beside her remains Seniha, Thus begins a strange triangle, brother, wife, and sister. At first, all seems peaceful. Seniha is friendly. Mükerrem perceives no threat. Yet, in her soul, Seniha desires only one thing: to destroy their happiness and witness its collapse. In the series, Halit is played by Mehmet Günser. Although he does not match the description of a blonde, blue-eyed hero, he fits well by age and type. Mükerrem is played by Hafsanur Sançakturan, an actress physically suited to the role, though doubts remain as to whether she can convey its depth. Many recall that once even Baron Sayat's acting was questioned when she was chosen for the role of Beter in Aşk-ı Memnu, but that role became the pinnacle of her career. Perhaps Hafsanur too will reach the summit of her craft through Mükerrem. After the wedding, Mükerrem moves with her husband and Seniha to Ankara. In the first months, she is truly in love with her husband. Over time, however, she grows disappointed. Halit is cold, selfish, and dull. In Ankara, Mükerrem meets a man named Celal Ferit, and they begin a romance. For Seniha, this is the long-awaited chance. She longs to see her brother's downfall and becomes an invisible instigator, creating convenient circumstances, keeping silent where she could have warned. But soon, Halit is transferred to Zonguldak. Seniha is afraid. Away from the capital, the affair may never occur, and her dream, to see her brother's ruin, may collapse. In Zonguldak, the family enters a new circle of bureaucrats, wealthy men, and officials. At a ball, Mükerrem meets the handsome Nüzhet, wealthy, arrogant, accustomed to female attention. A secret affair begins between them. In the novel, he is described as beautiful as a girl. He is the son of nouveau-riche parents, Nuriye Hanım and Hayrettin Bey. Young, spoiled, lazy, a notorious womanizer. His escapades are the talk of the town. Nüzhet is the embodiment of vanity and recklessness. In the series, Nüzhet is played by Selahattin Pashalı. In an interview, he confessed, "If the character had remained exactly as he was written in the book, perhaps I would not have wanted to play him." The creators changed his portrayal, promising a more profound and layered interpretation. Dangerous attraction. Mükerrem and Nüzhet begin to grow closer. It starts with a dance, then visits to his mother's home. At one point, Nüzhet suggests a private meeting. At first, Mükerrem resists, but Seniha, burning with envy, desires the betrayal even more than Mükerrem herself. For her, this is the perfect chance to see her brother humiliated, destroyed. For 2 months, Mükerrem resists, but eventually she gives in. Their secret meetings take place in the daytime, when Nüzhet's mother is away. Disillusionment. Soon, however, Nüzhet tires of the affair. Mükerrem becomes too serious for him. He even contemplates handing her over to his friends just to be rid of her. At one point, Nüzhet's mother confides in Seniha. "I fear they may marry." Seniha smiles and replies, "Perhaps your son has grown bored of her. Maybe my brother knows and simply remains silent." Soon after, Seniha decides to tell Halit everything. His reaction is surprising. He does not rage or make a scene. He merely says, "Make sure. When she goes to him again, tell me." He leaves with slumped shoulders, his pipe in hand. And then comes the fatal night. Halit goes to the house where he believes he will find his wife with her lover. Instead, he sees Nüzhet with 2 prostitutes and friends. At first, he thinks Seniha has slandered Mükerrem. But Nüzhet, aroused by the conversation itself, confesses, yes, he had a relationship with her. Moreover, he mocks Halit, saying that Mükerrem refused to participate in an orgy, and that this refusal ruined her allure. These words wound Halit even more deeply than the betrayal itself. In a fit of rage, he pulls out a revolver and shoots Nüzhet in the head. Thus Halit becomes a murderer. For him, the humiliation was worse than the infidelity. During questioning, Seniha swears she knew nothing of the affair and insists that Mükerrem would never do such a thing. She lies deliberately. Her only goal is for her brother to receive the harshest possible sentence. In the end, Halit is sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. Here fate plays a cruel joke on Seniha. For years she had dreamed of seeing her brother humiliated, broken, destroyed. But prison denies her this satisfaction. She cannot witness his suffering day by day. Her only purpose, the destruction of her brother's life, turns into emptiness. Mükerrem leaves for Istanbul and soon falls to the bottom of society. She is seen in cabarets, working as a hostess. Yet even in this downfall, she has admirers, new dresses, a life in the lights. Seniha remains alone. She's appointed a teacher in a provincial town. She lives in poverty and solitude, while her brother, even after prison, still finds support from friends, secures work, and retains respect. In the end, Seniha realizes the true tragedy is that her envy, her thirst for destruction, brought her nothing but emptiness. She never succeeded in defeating her brother. Even his crime did not make her happy. The novel asks a haunting question. Where does true ugliness reside? In the face or in the heart? Seniha, outwardly unattractive, reveals an inner darkness far more terrifying than any features. Halit is beautiful but hollow. Mükerrem is lovely but weak, and Nüzhet is the embodiment of vice and vanity. Each of them is a mirror of a society where beauty means power and ugliness becomes a brand. Thus, Kıskanmak remains one of the most piercing Turkish novels of the 20th century, and now returns as a series that promises a new interpretation of this eternal drama.